Welcome to Scoop World Order 5-star tackle edition. Are we closing in on a 5-star tackle? There's a lot of smoke coming. Brandon Baker, Ohio State. We're going to get into that. We're going to break down a little bit of the stuff we're hearing about summer workouts. Devin Brown is really coming on. That is going to be exciting to see if he can take out Kyle McCord. Be our starting quarterback. Heard some pretty loud buzz about him, and the fact that the offensive line like blocking for him. What does that mean for the quarterback derby? It's going to be interesting to see what goes down. We are a couple weeks out of camp. Big Ten Media Days are next week, so it is about to get cranked up. With that being said, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are racing to 20,000 subscribers. We appreciate you guys so much. We're about 75, 80 away or so. It's climbing every hour, it seems, so we appreciate you guys clicking on that, enjoying our content. If you have friends, family, people that love Ohio State, people that love college football, shoot them a text with this video. I'm telling you, like, I think the word is spreading. It's getting recommended to a lot of people, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, if you enjoy this content, please leave us a like and click that little alert bell if you like our live shows. As always, I got to get back to this. Shout out where you guys are from. Again, Naples, Florida, Canton, Ohio, California, Oxford, Ohio. We've had people all over the world chime in where they're watching from. Portsmouth, Chillicothe, everywhere. So we appreciate you guys putting that down in the comments, as always. But we're going to get into the good stuff, the 5-star stuff. Bring in my good friend, Nevada. Nevada, how are you tonight?
Well, doing great. I mean, like you said, we're closing in on 20,000 subscribers. We're going to announce the big Win a Dream Date with Nevada and Kirk Barton contest for the 20,000. The winner, whoever the 20,000 person is that subscribes, I'm not sure how we're going to determine who that is, but if the 20,000 person is going to come over and swim in Kirk Barton's pool, and then have Kirk Barton's kids attack him with wiffle bats and beat them, and then you get to have a rum runner with Nevada in Oxford, Ohio, at the local Gaslight Gastropub. So shout out to all the people at Gaslight. Thank you. Endorsement for Nevadabuck there for the NIL purposes. But yeah, no, I just got back from 11 days in Ohio, so I'm drunk on the love of the Buckeye State and ready to talk 5-star offensive tackles with you, man. Let's go. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
I told you, man. I said his name is Let's Go Brandon Baker. You'll never forget it now. So we got Let's Go Brandon Baker, 5-star superstar. What's the buzz, Nevada? I mean, we've got NIL stuff brewing. It looks like 1870s could potentially take out the foundation, which would be really interesting. Or they could merge. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but there's a lot of smoke around that. What's your take on Brandon Baker? Because we've only got like 3 recruits. I swear we spend 90% of our time talking about Aaron Scott, KJ Bolden, and Brandon Baker. What's the latest on Brandon Baker?
Well, coming from the modern day people, and that's, you got to understand the modern day people are pretty close-lipped about this stuff. And I haven't really put a lot of stock in Brandon Baker at Ohio State until the last 3 days, where the modern day people are saying that Ohio State has really got his attention, has really turned his head. And in their opinion, this is according to modern day people, Ohio State is the leader in the clubhouse right now. So there's the scoop. I'm not going to bury the lead. According to modern day people, Ohio State is leader in the clubhouse. Now, that's not a commitment, a crystal ball, a Ouija, Gigi, or whatever we're going to call it. But Let's Go Brandon, I think could happen. I think that could happen to Ohio State. It makes a lot of sense. He wants to leave the state. I don't think he's going to go to USC. I don't think he's going to go to any schools on the West Coast. I think he wants to leave the state. And I think Ohio State has got more than a puncher's chance. I think Justin Fry and Ryan Day have done an absolutely fantastic job on this one. And according to modern day people, Ohio State leads as we sit here right now at this moment.
I for the life of me, I can't understand why we can't get a 5-star tackle right now, because our tackle depth chart is a barren wasteland. I mean, we got Luke Montgomery, George Fitzpatrick, and then there's just a lot of question marks. Like some guys that they haven't played yet, they've got the ability to do it, but it's like, if I'm a 5-star kid, anywhere you go that's a good program, there's going to be dudes in front of you, and it's just like, how good are they? How long are they going to be there? When can I get a real crack at starting? At Ohio State, if this kid shows up, he could start as a freshman if he shows up. But I don't know. I'm excited about the kid. We'll click on. I might as well watch this film while we're sitting here talking about him. I feel like I've seen this film probably 8,000 times. You know, he's played right tackle in high school, which is kind of a question mark, because usually you put your best guy at left, but it's not that big of a deal, honestly. And again, he's playing for maybe the best program in the entire country, Mater Day. You know, those guys and Don Bosco, those guys played in the state championship. Bosco beat them. I think that they got him in the regular season. Bosco got him in the championship, because that was Mateo Uiagalelei. It was the linebacker that we're hopefully about to get. Those guys are both on Bosco. But yeah, these guys, this looks like a MAC football team. I mean, these guys look like college kids out there compared to most high school film that you watch. But he's got the tools, man. And I'm telling you, like, these kids are always obsessed with the depth chart more than anything nowadays. I remember when I was doing the recruiting, like, they all wanted to see what's the depth chart. And we would be told by, like, Mark Pantoni to make, like, a fake depth chart that moves stuff around and, you know, make it look appealing as can be, because that's like kind of the tricks you play on these kids. And it was fine. Like, I'm like, whatever. Because I was always like, if a kid's worried about the depth chart, then he probably is going to suck anyways. Because if you're worried about your competition and you go to a place like Ohio State, their whole goal is to try to replace you with somebody younger every single year. Like, that's what it is when you're at a big time program. They're going to try to bring in a 5-star guy behind you. They're going to, Alex Boone's coming in right behind me, 6'8", 5-star offensive tackle. Like, I mean, they're always bringing in a guy who they hope is better than you, because in their dream they'll have a younger lineup and a better player, and that's like a win-win when you're a college program. So you can't ever worry about who's in front of you or behind you. You just got to do you and lock in and just win the spot. So, but this kid's got a lot of talent. I mean, this would be
but Kirk, think about it. You lived in the era where you were worried about Alex Boone, or not worried, but you know what I'm saying. They were talking about bringing Alex Boone behind you. You didn't have to live through the portal. Can you imagine living now with the portal?
Oh my God.
Where it's like, I mean, they could bring in a guy you think you're safe, and they could bring in 3 guys better than you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, nothing is safe. No job is safe, and it has fundamentally changed the relationship between coaches and players. It's changed the way you can actually address players, how tough you can coach them. I mean, it's changed everything. And as fans, you know, we just have to readjust our thinking on this stuff, because, you know, when you talk about depth charts and stuff like that, I mean, depth charts, guys can leave. We just had 3 offensive linemen leave early to the NFL draft on the Ohio State offensive line, and we haven't had 3 leave maybe in the entire, or whatever, 5 leave in the entire history of the school. We had 3 leave in the same year. So, like, the depth chart can change both pluses and minuses with guys coming in and coming out in an instant. So, man, you better find a school that you like the school. The coaches might not be there. The position coach might not be there. The players above you might not be there. The players below you might not be there. But so you better just lock in, get the best place you can, and then go ball out, because it's completely different.
Yeah, and I used to always tell that to kids. I'd say, look, you know, pick the school you like. Don't be married to a position coach. Coaches, they're as faithful as their options, which is totally fine. That's what it is. I've seen, like, Jim Tressel was 12-1, beat Arkansas, 10-1 against Michigan, and he got fired. So, I mean, if he can get fired, anybody can get fired. And a lot of guys don't get fired, they just leave. Like, I mean, if Bill Belichick hung it up tomorrow and Robert Kraft said, I want, you know, a Northeastern guy, I want Ryan Day as my next coach to develop Mac Jones or to get Caleb Williams or whatever, like, he'd have to consider that. That's where he's from. You know, he was in the NFL for a long time. So literally anything can happen in football, you know, especially in coaching, you know, especially when it's, you know, when guys, you know, that I'm telling you, that NFL life is sweet. If you're a coach, being in the NFL is amazing, because you get, you know, it's just so much more even. You know, the good teams have harder schedules. The bad teams get higher draft picks. So, like, there's a realistic chance where you could actually go from cellar to Super Bowl, you know, if you do it right in 3-4 years. And you see these teams do these big rebuilds, and then they turn around and they win a title or they become competitive. In college, like, if you're at certain jobs, you're always going to be stuck. Like, Rutgers is never going to take Ohio State out. They're never going to move up to the top of the food chain. They're always going to be kind of that bottom dweller. But yeah, like, I tell kids, look, just go to a school that you like, because everything can change, and it could be, you know, like again, like we always talk about Greg Sudar. Greg Sudar, you know, did a good job at Ohio State, got fired. You know, Ryan brought in Justin Fry. Justin Fry is one of Ryan's best friends. Justin Fry's a little bit younger, a little bit more, maybe, I don't know if he's a better recruiter. I have no idea, but Ryan whacked the guy, and a guy like Chase Pasanas really likes Stud, and some guys didn't like Stud. So it's all over the map. But again, like this is a kid that most of these kids that get to Ohio State, I mean, I've seen very few that regret it unless they just have a terrible experience or they're not good players or whatever. But then still there's the portal. The portal has basically made college football into the NFL where, when you're counting on, hey, I got a red shirt this year and then senior is going to be, Paris is going to go pro, DeJuan's going to go pro. Then it's my shot. Then all of a sudden like Josh Simmons shows up, it's like, and again, like I'm not saying most people assume Josh Simmons is going to be the starting right tackle and they're going to have Josh Fry at left tackle. But, if I'm Zen and George and Luke Montgomery and these guys, like I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm not like just giving up the spot. Tigra, all these guys that were rotating in the spring ball because they should know the playbook better. They should know the system better. And I just feel like, I would take it as a slap in the face that they brought in a kid because again, they think when they bring in a kid, that means that they don't think that you can do it. So, it's up to those guys to see how much, how locked in can they be and how good can they be? Because that was something that, when I got a chance to, compete and start, and I mean, I didn't ever want to give that up. I don't want anyone ever to outperform me. So you lock in a little bit more and a little bit more every day to be on point. And again, that's where at Ohio State, man, it's a razor's edge. I mean, if Kyle McCord comes out and throws 3 picks in the first half and Ryan Day switches to Devin Brown at halftime of the first game against Indiana, then we might never see Kyle McCord again if Devin Brown comes out and lights it up. And that's the problem with Ohio State. It's not the problem, but it's just when you're there, man, you better play good. Because, I mean, there's a guy behind you that's maybe as good as you, maybe better than you. And if he sees the field, then magically you might never play again. Like if they would have benched Tanner McAllister and played Sonny Styles, like you might have never heard of Tanner McAllister again. So Josh Proctor, they benched him the first drive of the first game, never heard from him again because Lathan Ransom was better. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, it'd be a great feather in the cap for Justin to get this kid. We need tackles. In Nevada, you've been in the message board game a lot longer than I have, like 20 plus years. Have people always been this obsessed with the offensive line and the offensive tackle position? Like, did I just miss this? Because, like, I wish I would have known that everybody liked offensive tackle play so much because I would have actually, I think people would have liked me because I was pretty decent.
Yes. Offensive line, yes. I saw offensive lines for 20 years straight. It's been complaints about the offensive line. Tackles has been kind of a relatively new phenomena about maybe that's the past 10 years. Maybe it's the blind side influence or whatever it is. But yeah, tackles. And then it's went to out-of-state tackles. So it's kind of evolved from an offensive line in general conversation to an offensive tackle conversation to an out-of-state offensive tackle conversation. And then it's not even out-of-state tackles that perform well, like, say, DeJuan Jones, who comes in as a 3-star, ends up being an NFL draft pick, first-team All-American. No, it's got to be 5-star out-of-state tackles. That's what we're worried about right now. And so this way, I bring it back full circle to let's go Brandon Baker, because that would fill all the things, man. 5-star offensive tackle, out-of-state, modern day, checks every box. And you know what? If we get Brandon Baker, everybody will be happy and nobody will be complaining about anything on the message board for the rest of the year because we'll be so happy with what we have. And that's the greatest gift you could ever give Kirk and I is the gift of serenity that you guys are all happy with what's going on with Ohio State recruiting, that we're not looking for the next player because, sometimes that happens,
I mean, I'm just telling you, like, there's some people, man, they're just always miserable about something, no matter how good it is, about how good the program is or whatever. And it's just like, and I get it. Like, obviously we got smoked by Michigan 2 years and that's unacceptable. And then, we blow the game against Georgia. That's unacceptable. But, I mean, did we want to win those? Yeah. Do we want to be better? Yeah. But there's some people, like, even like when we won like the national title, they're still mad that we had to play Darryl Baldwin and Jacoby Bourne to win a national title, and I'm like, or there's some people that are still mad about losses for 20 years ago, which again, that's fine. I totally get that. But it's just funny because I used to live, like, I mean, the O-line at Ohio State was my life for 8 years of my life, 5 years as a player, 3 years as a coach. And like my livelihood depended on how good was the offensive line. And that means as a player, when you're like a leader and you're a guy who's grinding, to a coach where you're making the rotations, you're doing the recruiting as a grad assistant. So nobody knows the O-line like I do. And I felt the heat. I mean, dude, I worked for Jim Bowman. Jim Bowman one of the greatest human beings of all time, probably one of the most hated coaches in Ohio State history. Was nothing but great to me. Was a great guy to work with, but people hated him, for whatever reason. And he put in Nick Mangold and LaCharles and, Rob Sims, Booney had a good career in the league. I mean, so it's just always been funny to me because like again, like Stud, and again, I don't like talking about stuff. It's just like, when we had Paris and DeWand and Nick Petit-Frere was an out-of-state 5-star tackle that was the number 1 tackle in the country the year we got him. And Thayer was a guy that was a project that turned into an All-American. It's funny because, like I said, Nick Saban, if you guys have a minute, Joel Klatt, who's I think the best mind in terms of college football analyst outside of Buckeye Scoop, interviewed Nick Saban. If you search for it, you'll find it. Saban had a great quote where he talked about, picking these recruits because like he doesn't trust the stars and the rankings because he's like, well, who's doing these rankings? Because like once they're done ranking them, they don't have any, they're not tied to them. Their livelihood isn't tied to them the way these coaches are. They're not from scholarships. And he's also like, well, do these guys get inflated rankings based on their offers? If they get a Georgia offer or a Bama offer. He already said this. It's like, it'd be like if you had a litter of puppies and you picked what one's going to be the superstar hunting dog or the superstar athlete dog or whatever, like the minute they're born. That's what it's like. And I thought that was poignant because I agree because, I've met kids and people always ask me like, what do you think of this kid's film? And I'll watch a kid's film and I'll say he's a good looking player, but I know nothing about how he is mentally. I know nothing about how tough he is. I know nothing about what's his family life like? How stable is it? What are his motivations in life? And those things matter. Like, I mean, like in terms of the mental, I always told myself I'll never take a dumb player. And I mean, I try to get on these kids and learn them because, when you take a dumb player, it always comes back to bite you. I mean, they can't learn the system. They're slow processors. They're lazy. And like, those are all traits. And sometimes you have to take some of those traits, but if you get a clean guy that doesn't have any of those traits, like I'll take a guy who's a little bit less of an athlete, who's a grinder, who's tough, who's smart, who's prideful. Because, we took guys like that 2011 class when we took Chris Carter and Tommy Brown and Tony Henry, like those guys were all low motor guys. Those were guys that they weren't hard workers. They didn't really care. And like when you get dealt a bunch of those guys, man, it's really hard to get them to do the job, but when you take guys like Pat Elflein, Jacoby, Jamarco Jones, like those kids were just different. Those kids were like zoned in, locked in, wanted to be great. And that's important because I'm telling you, man, you get to Ohio State, man, and you get smoked your first month of practice where you're not real good and you're a freshman. A lot of these kids go into a shell and they die and they can't ever recover from it. And you got to be resilient when you're an offensive lineman because you're going to get smoked when you first get there. I mean, I've never seen a guy who didn't struggle. Mike Adams is the number 1 player in the country. He struggled. So, and then you got to monitor what they do off the field because some of these kids, they start smoking, they start drinking, they start partying, and it's like their desire to actually be good at football flatlines. So, again, there's a lot of variables to it, but like Thayer Munford was a guy that nobody was excited about. Like Greg Studwire, give him credit because he pounded the table for him. The guys in the Woody Hayes, I was getting texts. They literally said that we're taking Thayer, like Thayer fat Thayer Munford, like we're taking the big fat project from Ohio, and he turned into an All-American captain, Block O jersey winner, NFL draft pick, like great career, great kid. So wait till he's done to judge his career before you bury him like on signing day, like some people do. So. You got any thoughts on that, Nevada? That was my little diatribe for the evening.
Well, first of all, I want to say a great Joel Klatt story. I'm coming to Ohio Stadium. Last time I was actually in for a game, and I get out of my car, and the car right next to me is Joel Klatt and his family, and they're getting out of the car. And I'm like, hey, Joel. And you know what he said to me? He said, hey. That's it. That's my story.
Was he actually going to the game, or was he there with his family, or was he being an analyst?
No, I think he was being an analyst, but he was there with his family. It was Joel and like his 3 kids or 2 kids or something like that. And he actually looked at me right in the eye and said, "Hey."
Was it like the 17 Penn State game?
I think it might have been. No, I'm not sure it was that or the.
Well, because that was a Fox game. He would have been on that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I can't remember when it. I just remember that moment. I mean, we had a moment. Our eyes locked together, and we were one. We were just a couple of college football fans just having a good time.
I wish you would have looked at you and said, "We're not getting Ali Luba. He's not coming here.
He's not coming to Ali Luba. Ali Luba is going to be a great player at Georgia." And then all you guys, all you doubters, man, all you Jagger LaRue fans out there, like, I'm just going to throw the Ali Luba. I'll see your Jagger LaRue and raise it to an Ali Luba, and yep, it's gonna be big fun, man. This year, the offensive line is so excited just because, you see question marks, and you know more about offensive line play than I did, admittedly. But I just see opportunity. I just see guys that just have not had the opportunity to play, and I just keep hearing good things about a lot of these kids. And I'm hearing it over the summer. I heard it during the spring, and I think we have some dudes in the room, and I think that they're going to surprise some people, and I think they're going to play better than people think that they're going to play. And we've said this a million times, but Corey Linsley did not start a game at Ohio State until year 4. So just because the guy hasn't done anything in his first couple of years, maybe in his first 3 years, doesn't mean that he can't play. It just means he hasn't had the opportunity to play, because on the offensive line, you don't rotate. You don't run hockey lines like you do on the defensive line, like you do at any other position. You generally play 5 guys, maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe Mike Nee. KN goes in there for there was a blast from the past. A little Mike Nee reference for you there.
Mike Nee is one of my favorite Buckeyes of all time, easily. Yeah, I started next to him in 2004. I started next to him. He was my guard.
Yeah,
he was
he's a walk on.
Yeah, he was great, and he just did everything right. He was a great teammate. Like, it was funny. Like, he's like one of those guys that he goes, no one's ever going to remember Mike Nee, but he was a good player, and he's a nice player, and he beat out all the scholarship guys, which is amazing. It's like, he beat out, TJ and Doug Dadish and all those guys. And
yeah, because didn't he start the Michigan? He started the Michigan game next year, didn't he?
Yes. He started every game when I took over as a starter in the middle of the 2004 season. He started every game next to me, and he played well. He's a good player. He's a St. Ignatius kid.
Yeah, he was a really good player. He was a really good player. But a Walker, you just never know, man. Look at the left side of that line, or the right side of the line, rather. You got Mike Nee and Burt Carton. Like, has there ever been a lower regarded right side of the line than that?
No.
I mean, come on.
No, there's no way. And we went out and we beat the tar out of Michigan, like whooped them, like 37-21. Like, and here's the thing. We whooped them, but we played great. Like, me and Mike, I was balling that game. Like, I didn't give up any pressure, no penalties. Like, that was the thing about the Michigan game is, like, look, you can play, you get the gold pants, but, like, I never had a penalty. I never gave up a sack. I never gave up pressure against Michigan. So it's like, I was balling against those guys, but it just, Mike was such a good dude. I'm going to turn on. So, we're real big on the hype videos at Ohio State now. We love, we video everything, because if you don't video the workout, then it doesn't count. It's like the Instagram thing. So we video all of Coach Mick's workouts. So you see the guys sweating. They got hoodies on. Jaden's got his bandana thing on, squatting 225. We're doing pull downs with straps now, doing towel pulls. But we've got all these these doohickeys now where we've got these little computer things that monitor your. Yeah, they have little tendo bands so they can track your velocity when you're benching, and they got all this fun stuff. Like I said, when I was a GA, used to work out here, you got the push pull sled drill. These are kind of the dog days of summer right here. There's Donnie, but this is for those of you that haven't seen the inside of the Woody weight room. This is what it looks like. These guys get after it pretty good. Here's the sprints and these guys got weight vests on, and this is kind of the dog days of summer right here. And for people that haven't experienced summer conditioning, it sucks. And I don't know, I think the volume is similar in terms of the amount of running, but when we used to run back in the olden days, man, it was a lot of running. We did, our conditioning test was 20 half gassers. So a half gasser is the width of the field down back in 20 for the little guys like Ted Ginn, 16 seconds. For the medium guys like AJ Hawk, 18 seconds. For the big guys, 20 seconds. And you have to do that 20 times with a 30-second rest interval in between. So if you want to see what kind of shape you're in, go out and try to do that, because it'll smoke you. It's tough.
No, but in the spirit of that video, though, for the 20,000 subscriber, we're going to do a hype video from the Cosmo Pool, where you'd see Kirk Barton sweating as he's drinking.
Leg pressing. I mean, leg pressing 1,200 pounds in the pool, in the deep end, with a hoodie on and an Ohio State bandana like that right there. I have the same one on.
And drinking Bacardi and Coke the whole time or something like that. And yeah. No, we'll see. You want to see sweat? Man, that's when you're going to see some sweat. Forget this hype video there, man. If you've ever been with Barton at the pool, that is some sweat.
Oh, it's some serious stuff. But yeah, this is just like a little taster's Jack Sawyer. Jack looks great. Again, I'm buying every ounce of Jack Sawyer stock that I can get right now. It's funny. He found out, this was a great story, that he found out that he got named 4th team All Big Ten by Phil Steele, and he was I don't want to swear because I don't say monetized on YouTube, but he was hot. So that thing, because I think Jack could be All Big Ten over JT Tuimoloau based on production. I truly believe that. Jack was more productive in his snaps than JT was. JT had that one outlier game, and I love JT. I think JT is a really good player, but he played a much higher percentage of snaps than Jack did, and Jack was actually more productive. So it'll be interesting to see if they get kind of an even share of snaps, if that holds. Because again, I think that JT, I think he needs to vary his moves. I studied every snap he played last year, and he's a consistent bull rusher right down the middle, which is easy to stop. Doesn't spin a lot because he doesn't want to get smoked, and they ran some interesting stuff where they would hold the guard to keep so JT could spin. Because, a lot of times spin moves look great, like Dwight Freeney, they look amazing. But if the guard's coming that way and you spin inside, you're going to get literally destroyed. So, you got to be careful when you do it because, you could get knocked out of the club real quick. But, yeah, this is what they do in the summer. This is what I don't miss at all. People are like, do you miss playing football? I was like, hell no. I don't miss any ounce of it. I don't miss any of it. I don't think about it. And I definitely don't miss this stuff. But it was fun to do at the time just because this is like kind of how the sausage is made. And I think that, a lot of people don't realize these guys don't just show up on Saturdays, man, because they're doing these workouts all winter, all summer, and they really suck. But, these guys, they're grinding right now. Well, we got anything else? Let's go Brandon Baker. Looks like he's trending the right way, which is good.
Do we have any questions, man? And this whole thing, you and I have been chitter-chatting for 40 minutes, and you're telling me there's not a single question.
Do we have any questions? Like Sue, my man Neil Harris, you guys got any questions for us? I see you guys in here. Paul's in here. We got all the regulars just cranking away. I love it. Yeah, I appreciate that, Rich. Yeah, like I said, I always prided myself because, again, it's one thing to just be on the team or to start, but it's different to start and play well. Okay. So this is all right. Here's a good question. Kim Hurst, appreciate this. I never understood what the stars for ranking players meant. It should be the desire to play and prove their worth. Nevada, do you want to take a crack at explaining that?
Well, I think we all understand what the stars. Well, I shouldn't say that. Here's my interpretation of what the stars mean. The stars mean to me likelihood of being an excellent player at the college level. Now, maybe that's not what they mean. Maybe it means projection to the NFL. Maybe it means stuff at the next level or overall talent. But I've always taken it as likelihood that player is a productive, successful college football player. And the higher the number of stars, the more higher the likelihood of success. Is that your interpretation, Kirk, or do you have a different one?
Yeah, I think it's just projecting the production and the traits that go to the next level, just because, a lot of times you'll see some guys that are 5 stars that aren't great high school players, but they have the traits to be, maybe they're changing positions. I think it's more just like a judge of their athletic traits. If you have a guy who's like Robert Kimducci was 6'5", 270, ran a 4.640, number one player in the country type guy. Was productive in high school.
But hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But so you think they're projecting to the NFL, or do you think they're projecting to high school?
No, they're projecting to college. It's hard to project all the way through to the NFL just because it's but when I would go to those camps and walk around, you have to assign some sort of a value, whether it's your kid getting his report card and he gets an A, B, C, or D, or whatever. You have to figure out, and I don't know where the star thing came from, but somewhere along the line, some said, I'm going to make these guys 5 stars or whatever, or 4 stars. Or it's like rating a hotel or something. But
so wait a second, is it like me at the Spearmint Rhino where you're looking for the 5-star girls as opposed to like the 3-star girls or something like that? Is that what we're talking about here?
yes, I know that they when you're at Spearmint, I know they call you the Greg Studoir of the Spearmint Rhino because you pull nothing but 5 stars, nothing but 5 stars, and they're out of state 5 stars. You're not looking for the Ohio. You're not looking for the Ohio 3 stars.
Okay, now I understand it. Now you put it in terms I understand. This is awesome, Kirk. Thank you.
No, you've had a bunch of Under Armours. You're in Oxford, Ohio for 11 days, eating at the same place over and over again. I get it. This is when I don't like the vibes from what I heard tonight when the Georgia safety decommitted because Banks been all about, well, they're not going to have 4 safeties in the class. Well, they just lost 1, so I don't think that helps us in the KJ Bolden thing. I still think we're in good shape. I mean, his cousin coaches here. His cousin's Perry Eliano, so it's like you think when you go to the family reunion, you're sitting there, eating your potato salad or whatever. You're gonna be like, hey, cuz, you want to come play for me? But I don't know. I mean, he's in Georgia, so it's like, we have to go pull him out of, the mouth of the beast down there. You got to go take a kid from Buford. I think that's tough. I mean, if we get both these guys by some miracle, it'd be probably the greatest recruiting class in Ohio State history. If we get one of them, it's still probably going to be a top 5 recruiting class in Ohio State history. It might be number 2 or 3. But yeah, they just got to keep cranking that. Yeah, absolutely, Kim. I'm not sure where the stars came from, but like Nick Saban said, again, like he did a great interview with Joel Klatt, and he's like, well, who are the guys making the star rankings? Because a lot of these guys, you see these guys and they're like the biggest dweebs, the biggest losers. Like they've never played football, and the biggest thing for me is they've never been paid by an NFL team or a college team to be evaluators, and they've never been held to some sort of a standard. Because if they whiff on a guy and they rank him a 3-star and he turns into Josh Allen or an All-American, like there's no accountability like down the road where they say, oh, well, he had this guy as a 5-star and he turned into a turd, or this guy was a 3-star and he turned into a Pro Bowler. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I can't really take those rankings seriously over my own eyes because it's like when Ohio State goes, they're like, well, Justin Fry offers a guy like Mark Nave, who's the lowest rated guy in the class, 3-star guy from Toledo Central Catholic. Like, who's got a better evaluation? Justin Fry, whose entire livelihood and his family's livelihood and his kids' livelihood all depends upon how accurate he is at ranking these kids and taking these kids, or some recruiting like guy who's never played football in his life. He's never coached football in his life. He's never sat in a film room in his life. I mean, he's never been held to the fire like these coaches have. So I don't know. Like I tend to go with like a guy like Justin Fry because he's been doing it for 20 years and he's been around the block. And again, I say this as loudly as I can. His family's livelihood depends upon how accurate he is selecting the kids he gets to coach, period. So, and again, they have more access. They talk to the kids. They get to know them mentally. They get to know, what makes them tick. Because that's the thing, like I said, I struggle with. We had a great post on BuckeyeScoop.com where they said, can you rank the Ohio linemen? And I said, yeah, I like Satterwhite first. I like, Deion Armstrong too. Like I kind of I've watched their film so much. I just kind of did it off memory, but I've never talked to those kids. Like I've never worked those kids out. I've never gotten them on a grease board. Like I used to do that. I did that with Jamarco Jones back when we were recruiting him. I loved Jamarco because he was a kid that picked everything up quick. He was sharp. He was really a good kid. Like his mom was great. So, I remember I walked around camp with his mom like the whole day holding her water, made sure she had water, whatever. I made sure she was like the belle of the ball the whole time because I really liked Jamarco. He was one of my favorite kids ever. I'm still tight with Jamarco. But when you're recruiting the kid, you do everything you can to make mom comfortable, make the kid comfortable, make the kid feel like you can develop them. And that's something like, when you're just a recruiting guy at 247 or On 3 or Rivals or whatever, you don't get that luxury of really getting to know the kid. I mean, you might DM him or you might talk to him on the phone for 15, 20 minutes or text him, but it's not the same as working him out and getting him on the grease board and seeing what really makes him tick. And I was really good at that because you don't want to miss. You want to get as much information as possible when you're evaluating these kids because, again, your livelihood is on the line. Because if these kids come here, they're yours, and when you walk into a room, those are your kids. Like when you're a new position coach or a new GA or whatever, like you can't go out and it's not the NFL. You can't make trades. You can go get out of the portal, but a lot of these kids in the portal suck. I got news for you. Like they're not all going to be instant impact starters. A lot of these guys have a lot of warts, or like Josh Simmons, I think has a chance to be good, but he had 17 penalties last year and he played at San Diego State. He ain't Orlando Pace. I mean, he could get to be real good. You have Justin Frye can iron him out, but I'll tell you what, if he has 17 penalties this year at Ohio State, it'll be like JV Sugars. I mean, people will hate him. So, I think that, you just have to really do a thorough evaluation, which is why the star system is great. It's good fodder for these networks. Obviously, the recruiting rankings, everything carries these things. And these networks know that the sites that bring in money, like Ohio State, like Bama, like Georgia, like Nebraska, if they bump their ratings up, and then Ohio State is Ohio State's almost automatically a top 2-3 class every single year, because when a kid gets an Ohio State offer and commits to Ohio State, he'll go from a 3-star to a high 4-star, and he'll jump 100 spots in the rankings. And you'll have the 4-stars that bump up to 5 stars, and then Ohio State's class, because like for 247 with Bucknuts, like if Ohio State has the number 1 class, then that's great for business for Bucknuts. They get a bunch of subscribers. They want to read about the number 1 class. They want to, I like 247 because they don't screw Ohio State like On3 does. Like there's all this like kind of silliness that goes on. And in the end of the day, it's just fodder, but it's interesting nonetheless for people like us to talk about, and people on our websites that love to talk recruiting rankings. What are your thoughts, Nevada? We're almost what are we at?
Well, I think that's why on the Buckeye Scoop top 500, we have Ohio State players as all 5-star players. And that way, that there's never going to be a Buckeye bump. We're never going to do things like that. But we think that everybody's a 5-star. So you come to our ranking board, you'll see Ohio State's got a perfect 5-star every single time. We're kind of like the North Korea, when the leader of North Korea, Dooku Kim, plays golf and shoots an 18 or something like that. Everybody's a 5-star on the Buckeye Scoop recruiting ranking. So congrats to our 23 5-stars this year.
Would you call him Dooku Kim? Like Count Dooku and Kim Jong-il?
Whatever Dooku that. I Dooku Kim. Like,
you've been in the Rum Runners, man. Put the Rum Runners down. All right.
If his name was Jagger LaRue, then I'd remember it. Jagger LaRue.
Let's go, Jagger LeBrandon. All right. So, Emmanuel, this is a good question. I know Coach Hartline has been a part of the offensive approach for some time now, but with his inexperience, should it take some time for the offense to get going before the Notre Dame game? Your thoughts, Nevada?
I think he's further along than people think. I think, you're talking about a guy that obviously played in the NFL for a long time, has really been keeping a close eye on what Ryan Day's doing. I think a lot of the stuff that they'll be doing, there's going to be the preparation before the game is always really kind of the key. And I think he'll get the feel of calling as it kind of goes along. But you've got, Ryan Day there is kind of the bumpers. It's almost like having the bumpers up when you're bowling, and you've got the bumpers up there so you can't throw it in the gutter. So I think I think he's going to be better and further along than people think, and I don't think the offense is going to feel markedly different than what it's been in the past. But hopefully we find a little bit more balanced. But I think it'll have most of its impact is going to be kind of on our route concepts, our route combinations, and specifically I think we will utilize the running backs a little bit more in the offense this year from a passing standpoint. That's been a point of emphasis for Brian, and something that he's really been talked about a lot. So, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about to see this version of the offense. I think it's going to be Ryan Day 2.0 with Brian Hartline at the controls, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, and when you have Marvin and Emeka who can get open on anybody, it's just like throw it to Marvin 15 times, throw it to Emeka 10 times, and then dole out the rest of the touches. Cade Stover gets 3, 4, 5. The running backs need their touches. Like, I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, it's not like you're trying to make chicken salad out of chicken, you know what? But I mean, he'll be fine. I mean, Brian wants to be a head coach sooner than later, and this is like kind of the next step up the mountain for him. He's always been a competitive guy. He's a tough guy. I'm sure that there's going to be some anxiety, but thankfully, like we open with 3 turds: Indiana, like Youngstown State, and I think like Western Kentucky or something. So like. You get like 3 dress rehearsals. And that's why I don't worry about the O-line. Like the O-line, it's not like they're opening up with Georgia at Georgia or Bama, or they're playing 3 bad teams. So, they'll get their feet wet. They'll be ready to roll. Then they got to go to South Bend and eat their Wheaties. Steven Jackson, that's who Boo Mancini killed. Ken, whoever you call it, whether it's a Dooku Kim or
Yeah,
whatever. So,
Dooku Kim. Yeah, that stayed with me all these years. I remember I was watching that when that happened. That was bad. That was bad. Whew.
yeah.
Rip Dooku Kim. I'm sorry, my man. Prayers.
Um, yeah, I don't know who did this, Kim, but this is great to dismiss the game against Michigan. No, the Michigan game is the most important game of the year. I mean, it defines you. I know that there's a playoff, and we're gonna have like a 64-team playoff probably in 10 years, but the Michigan game is still everything. You can't go out there and lay an egg against that one. Um, See, this is interesting, Jesse. I think that um, I don't think these guys are dead. Like I think that Josh Fryer has to get a lot better at left tackle. He has to get a lot more comfortable. I hope he's been working it all summer. I'm sure he has been. The coaches love him. I personally think that Josh is much better at the right tackle than the left tackle. Just watching his footwork and his comfort level. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I love George Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's a kid who's got light feet. He's gained probably 30 pounds since he's been in high school. So he's like 320 now, 315, and he can run. That's kind of what you need. And he's got good length and his footwork. He looked like Taylor Decker in the spring game. Again, I've rewatched every snap I could find of these guys, and I just kind of evaluate them based on their movement, because you can't always do it based on who they're going against. Because if Josh Fryer and Tigra or Zen are the starting tackles, and they're going against Jack Sawyer and JT, and then George Fitzpatrick's going against some walk-on DN or Caden Curry, it's not the same level of competition. So you can't evaluate necessarily the performance when one guy's going against an A player and another guy's going against a B or a C player. But I think that you just have to just see how he does against Jack and those guys, because I think Jack and JT are going to be really good. I think that's going to be something different. And again, this is the year for the defense, because there's a chance we're going to lose 7 guys off this defense. And I think that a lot of them are going to be drafted. Mike Hall's been projected as a first-round pick. JT's been projected as a first-round pick. I've seen Jack in a mock draft as a first-round pick, which I don't, he's got to take another level and whatever. But I mean, it could happen. You could have a lot of, Tommy. I don't think Tommy's a first-round pick, but I think he's a top 3-round pick. Steele Chambers, probably top 3 or 4-round pick if he runs well. Denzel Burke wants to leave. Jordan Hancock wants to leave. So there could be an exodus on this defense. So this is kind of the year. And again, I think that bodes well for Ohio State, because when all these guys are trying to get that 3-and-out status and go chase the NFL bag, I'm just telling you, they lock in a little bit more. I think that there were some guys that were bad influences in the room a few years. I heard some stories, not great. And a lot of those guys washed out. And now, you got some young guys in there that are hungry. You got a lot more talent in the room. I think with Davis and Igbenogson, I think it's awesome. They're going to be pushing each other. These guys, they all want to be 3-and-out. They all want to be first-round picks. So that's good for Ohio State fans, because it means these guys are going to be focused and locked in. So, well, all right, Aaron Scott saga. I'm kind of over the Aaron Scott thing. I mean, he's going to commit to Ohio State. I can't see him, dad, lifelong Ohio State fan, waiting for his dad's birthday to. I mean, he loves the game. I mean, he wears the Oregon stuff and the Michigan stuff and whatever. But I don't think there's any drama. I really don't. I would be stunned if he went to Michigan. I really would. I mean, it's his dad's a Buckeye fan. They're an hour away in Dayton. There's something to your son committing to Ohio State that doesn't exist when he commits to Michigan. That's just what it is. So, but he loves the game. I mean, I will say, he's a guy. He's the opposite of the kid that we got out of Arizona, Miles Lockhart, who just literally took one visit. And again, I think that with the game playing and the drama and all the silliness, I think it ups the excitement and the value and the perceived ability of the kid. Because no one was excited when Miles committed, because he visited Ohio State and he camped at Ohio State. He unofficial visited Ohio State. So nobody's excited about it. This kid, you go to Oregon, go to Michigan, you wear the gear, you go to the Michigan barbecue, you come out, you text, you're tweeting Charles Woodson. So the people, they get that anxiety, oh my God, what if we lose this kid to Michigan? I don't care. Who cares? We'll be all right. We'll survive somehow. We've lost kids way better than this kid, but I think he's going to be a Buckeye. I don't think there's any drama there. Nevada, do you feel the same way?
Well, think about it this way. Okay, just like the other day, he's wearing the Oregon stuff and the Michigan stuff. Well, he's not going to both those schools, right? So I mean, he's zooming somebody. So I'm like, wait a second. He's probably zooming both of those schools and going to Ohio State. Yeah, I think he's a Buckeye. I think Ohio State knows. I think it's a Buckeye. I think we're all going to try to keep it quiet and just kind of play along and just kind of go, oh my gosh, the drama. Where's he going to go? Whatever it is. And then when it happens, we rejoice. And then we immediately turn to fretting about the next one, guys. We have to keep it together, okay?
Oh, yeah.
We can be happy for at least 5 minutes, But then after that, we're on to the next one, because the next one, what is it? It's the most important one. It's always the most important one.
Well, I mean, like, we always have to be anxious about something. It doesn't matter how good life is, how great everything's cranking. Like, we have to have anxiety. Like, this is how we roll. This is the last thing I'll do. So, offensive line projections. Let's see. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. So, let's fire up the pen. So, if we go, let's go LT. Let me get this a little bit skinnier. I don't like that. Turn off the highlighter and turn on the. Let's see if we can turn on the pen. LG, center, RG, RT. Well, I think that everyone is going to agree that Fryer is going to be Fryer. I think left guard.
You don't agree with that, though. You think it's going to be Donnie Jackson.
Well, that's what I would do. I mean, I don't know. I think every day that we don't put Donnie.
Let's put down the consensus, and then let's put down Barton's blast, and then we'll revisit this. We'll revisit this as part of the.
We'll do Donnie. We'll do Simmons.
20,000 subscriber celebration. We'll visit this.
This is Matt Jones. Center.
Carson.
I mean,
you got to get to Carson, and then we'll put down your Brooke Carton, Jacob James pick there on the second line, but the first one is going to be Carson.
So then I'll put James.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacob James is a fourth-year guy, man. It's like, if you can't beat out a second-year guy, I don't know what he's doing, honestly. And really, like, it wasn't even me. It was Luke. Like, Luke Whippler's the guy that said he was going to be the guy. So Luke knows better than anybody. I mean, the players know who the players are. I mean, right tackle, like, I think that you got to go. God, I would put Tigran at guard because he looked a lot more comfortable at guard. Like last year, I thought he looked way better at guard than he did at tackle. So I put Zen. I put Fitz. So Fitzpatrick. Left guard. Like, again, the thing that kills me is I think that Enoch has to be somewhere in here. Like, if you want to do it realistically, like, Enoch should be starting somewhere. Like, he should be at one of the guards. And honestly, the easiest way to do that is put Matt in there. And then, you've got Luke. You've got, Seyerveld. You've got, God, who else do we have at center? We've got Toby Wilson. You've got, I guess you could put Tigra here.
Padilla,
you could put Padilla here. Yeah, I put Luke at, I put Toby here. So put Toby there. Put Padilla there. So that's kind of, and I'm sure I'm probably missing somebody. I'm doing this to soft memory. Like, I didn't really prep for this one, but, I think that would be a pretty accurate. And again, the thing about training camp that you can lock in is there's always going to be guys that get hurt. There's always going to be guys that are moving around. There's always going to be guys that, you want to see at different spots. I mean, that's part of the magic of this training camp is that there aren't like guys that are just, outside of Donnie and Matt Jones, the rest of the spots are all up for grabs. I mean, I would think that you could put Fryer in at permanent marker somewhere just because he started a game last year and he's an older guy and he's reliable and the coaches like him. But other than that, man, it is open. It's pretty much open season for these guys to figure out where they want to play at. I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else that I missed. Cutler. I mean, he's probably here. He might be. He's probably this other guard. Like when they go, when you can't have Enoch at two spots. So Cutler was probably with the twos at one of the guards, but that's kind of what it is. I mean, I'm just seeing if there's anybody else that I missed. I mean, I think Teuton's gonna retire. The thing that's gonna be interesting is where do you fit Miles Walker because he's in here too. So I think you could put Tigran at one of the guards. I mean, Tigran might be the second guard, so it'll be interesting. Again, there's pretty decent depth. Like when you put this all on paper, it's not bad, but you just you gotta figure out who to put where. I mean, I think that Toby. I think Toby's good enough to be on one of the top three lines, but where do you put Miles? I mean, Miles has got to be the third right tackle in all likelihood if you've got Zen, Simmons, and Tigra. I mean, because adding adding Simmons and Simmons and Jacob James both did nothing during the spring. So you push guys down that were with the 2s down to the 3s and 4s. So there. Yeah, I got everybody. I forgot Miles Walker. So I mean he's probably third team right tackle. So there's your 3 lines. Again, it honestly on paper it has more depth than I originally thought, just because you've got Miles is a good project right tackle. I think Luke is a star. Luke's a guy that I would work him in with the 2s a little bit just to get him some work. He's a left tackle all day. I think he could be a high end left tackle, but that left tackle race is going to be interesting because I think Luke and Fitz have more upside than Fryer, but Fryer's the older guy, and he's the guy that's played, and the coaches love him. And I mean, he's been in the starting mix for 3 years now. Like when they opened camp in 2021, he was a starting left guard. Then they ended up
let me throw just a crazy thought in there raised by a great poster, 22 Buck on our site, and he talked about what about moving Jason Moore to the offensive line? Jason Moore, the freshman from Hyattsville, Maryland, from Nevadabuck Catholic, the defensive lineman, 6'6". He thinks he'd make a great offensive lineman, specifically a tackle.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want him to transfer immediately, I guess we could do that. But I mean,
yeah. Like guys, like we're gonna move you to tackle. He's like, no, tackles don't make any money. I'm not gonna go there.
No, but some guys they just don't want to play offensive line. I mean, did he ever play offensive line?
But maybe
play that in high school.
Maybe he did. I'll bet you did. I'll bet you played both ways.
I'm sure he did, but I mean, like a guy like that, like I mean, if he's coming for Larry Johnson, I mean that guy's not gonna want to play O-line. There's no way.
Well, we'll see. If this happens, remember this is another example of posters on the board coming as a win. I pay attention when there's guys that are connected like that and they make comments like that. They're not just throwaway comments. There's some little negative there. There's something in there. So keep an eye on that one.
What do you think it's him? Did he buy a sub to our site? That'd be great. Sue's on point. She's like, you're missing Vic Cutler. I was like, yeah, I guess Vic is probably gonna be that second team guard. Yeah, but I think that if Matt Jones or Donnie sprained an ankle, I think Enoch's going in at either one of those spots. Because again, like, who's your 6th guy? What happens if Carson gets hurt? Do you make Matt Jones go to center, or do you put Jacob James in? Like, there's all these kind of, movements that can happen. If Josh Fryer gets hurt week 1, do you put Donnie at left tackle, or do you feel comfortable with Fitz or Zen at left tackle? So there's a lot of things that can happen. Basically, it's like, who are your top 6 or 7 guys, and what would the rotations be if somebody gets hurt? Like if Fryer gets hurt and Enoch's on the bench, you probably put Donnie at left tackle and put Enoch in at left guard, because Enoch's a 5th-year guy. Like, I don't know what they're waiting on to play him. And again, I would put Matt Jones at center and put Enoch in at guard and start him. I think Enoch's earned that. Enoch stuck around. He didn't transfer. Started the Michigan game last year. So I don't know. I mean, they felt good enough to start him last year. Now they hooked him and they put Josh Fryer in, but I don't know. But yeah, see, I like that. It'll be interesting to see. Again, what it all comes down to in the offensive line with this offense is, can you pass protect, especially at tackle? Like, I mean, when we're throwing it 50 times a game, man, you got to be able to pass block. So that's why I give, like, I upgrade Fitz, I upgrade Luke Montgomery. I mean, I would even consider putting Luke at right tackle and having him battle it out with Simmons, because I think he's got the footwork to do it. He's not strong. I mean, he's going to get stronger, but he's athletic and he stays in front of people and he's relaxed and smooth in his pass set. So, but that's just my opinion. So, but yeah, like I said, I don't think any of these jobs, the only jobs that are locked in are Donnie and Matt. The rest of them are all, and I'd say Fryer's probably the next closest guy to locking a job in. But other than that, man, it's going to be a war for that right tackle job and that center job. So, well, this is cool. We could do the grease board in the future, because I actually really enjoy doing that. So we'll wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts, Nevada?
20,000 subscribers, my man. It could happen tonight. It could happen at any time. It could have happened during this broadcast.
Text your friends. Tell everybody.
If you're the lucky winner of the 20,000 subscriber thing, man.
Stop.
It's like the golden ticket. It's like Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka gave those golden tickets, and then the big fat kid, Augustus Gloop, like got the thing and went in the chocolate river and stuff like that. Going to Bert Carton's house is like going into Willy Wonka land, man. I'm telling you what.
They've never been you can go walk the Strand of Manhattan Beach and you can go drink a coffee bean and eat a Dairy Queen. It'd be amazing. Like, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing
We're
in
gonna see
my
it
house
all.
that can touch that.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Super awesome.
You can go to Denny's at 3 a.m. with Nevadabuck in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Fear
Yes.
and
Yes.
loathing.
Yes, indeed.
All right. I got to wrap this thing up. We got to go. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Sue. Thank you to the crew. Thanks to all the regulars. Appreciate you guys being on here as always. You guys are the best. Almost to 20,000. So tell your friends, text the link, the episodes. If you enjoy this, appreciate you guys. Again, thanks for the awesome questions. You guys help carry these things because it's always fun seeing what you guys are worried about, what you guys are thinking about, what questions we can answer. Obviously, we keep it pretty light around here. It's pretty funny. So we appreciate you guys so much. Again, if you enjoy this, leave us a like on the way out the door. Click subscribe. We're almost at 20,000, which is going to be awesome. If you like our live shows, like I know a lot of you guys do, hit that little alert bell. You'll see when we go live so you can hop in and start firing away with those questions. So we appreciate that. Shout out where you're from, as always. I love seeing where you guys are watching from. Again, I got my people down on the river, Portsmouth, Ohio. I saw Portsmouth, Naples, Toledo, New Albany, all over Phoenix, LA. I mean, you guys are everywhere. So we appreciate you guys shouting out where you guys are from. So hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I'm about to get on BuckeyeScoop.com because our message board is cranking. And it's not even media day. It's not even camp yet. And it is insane. So if you guys love Ohio State football and you're not on Buckeye Scoop, I don't know what you're doing because it's a blast. We have a great time. So we appreciate you so much. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.